The Leaning Tower of Pisa was built in the 12th century. Unfortunately, it was built on soft ground that consisted of clay, shells, and fine sand. And by the time they got to the third story, which was a few years after they started building it, they recognized that it was leaning. And so this shifting ground caused the foundations of the tower to be unstable. And after 800 years, it became evident that this 55-meter tower was not only leaning, but was very gradually falling 1 to 2 milliliters per year, such that now it is more than 5 meters off of perpendicular. Well, Jesus warns us that we don't want to be like that tower, in a sense, when he talks about what kind of foundation your life is built on. Welcome to Truth Talk with Ed Skipper every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. One of the things that I like to do when I study a passage is ask the questions as I observe it. Are there any opposites in this passage? And that's a great question to ask of Matthew chapter 7, verses 24 to 27. Therefore, everyone who hears these words of mine and puts them into practice is like a wise man who built his house on the rock. The rain came down, the streams rose, and the winds blew and beat against that house, yet it did not fall because it had its foundation on the rock. But everyone who hears these words of mine and does not put them into practice is like a foolish man who built his house on sand. The rain came down, the streams rose, and the winds blew and beat against that house, and it fell with a great crash. So the opposites that we see here are one person who hears Jesus' words and puts them into practice, another person who hears the words and does not put them into practice. A wise person, a foolish person. A person who built on rock, a person who built their house on sand. And finally, a person whose house stands in the storm, representing Judgment Day, and a person whose house collapses due to the storm. Now, Psalm 127:1 says, unless the Lord builds the house, its builders labor in vain. So Jesus talks here about two foundations, two only. A life built on hearing his words and putting them into practice, and a life built on hearing his words and not putting them into practice. My wife and I spent the last couple of days of our honeymoon on the Oregon coast in Lincoln City, and one of the things we did there was we built a Volkswagen in the sand, and it was very good. I was at that time driving a 1971 yellow Super Beetle. That's why we did this. And it was good because my wife is an excellent sculptor. It wasn't because of me, trust me. But I would not have been ashamed to enter that sandcastle, that Volkswagen sand structure, into a contest, a sandcastle building contest. It was that good. But we knew what would happen to it. The tide would rise and it would take it out. And Jesus is saying that's what will happen to a person who hears my words and does not put them into practice. So let me sing a chorus for you of a popular old hymn. It's still sung a lot today. On Christ the solid rock I stand, all other ground is sinking sand. All other ground is sinking sand. And until next time, may you hear Jesus' words and put them into practice, and so build your life on a solid foundation. Then you will stand come Judgment Day.